bacon, egg, and cheese toast cups. Hi Rach, I'm Chef Kelly Senyei. I'm founder of the food site Just to Taste, author of the Secret Ingredient Cookbook, and a mom of 3 boys ages 5 and under. So I know the importance of making every minute and every dollar count here in the kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to transform a $7 box of frozen puff pastry into 3 amazing recipes. Let's kick things off with breakfast. I've taken the classic combination of bacon, egg, and cheese and transformed them into a portable, on-the-go friendly bacon, egg, and cheese toast cups, and this recipe comes straight from my Secret Ingredient Cookbook. Of course, it stars our frozen puff pastry here. I've also pre-cooked my bacon, which the fastest way to cook bacon, and actually the easiest way to cook it, is to pop it on a parchment paper lined sheet tray at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. Now we want to have it cooked, but not all the way through because it needs to be pliable enough to get into our toast cups. So I'm going to use a little pizza wheel here to slice my frozen puff pastry, which is now thawed, to 9 squares. You're going to grab your muffin tin, and this is the secret to a make-ahead meal. Anytime you can make individual portions like this, they are so much easier to freeze. So I'm going to tuck a piece of frozen puff pastry inside each of my muffin tin cups. We're just going to use each piece of bacon and tuck it into each cup so that it's sticking out on the sides. And then the scrambled egg mixture that we're going to add inside actually stars my secret ingredient, which happens to be sour cream. Sour cream in scrambled eggs or baked eggs are going to take them to a whole new level because it adds this tanginess and this richness. It just completely elevates the flavor. Now I've cracked my eggs into a liquid measuring cup, and this makes it much easier to pour them into our muffin tin pans. So we're going to add a little bit of our shredded cheddar cheese here. To my eggs, I'm going to add some salt, pepper, and then our secret ingredient, sour cream, and then give this a good whisk. So now we're going to pour our egg mixture into each of our cups here, just until you reach the top. And then this muffin tin is going to go back into the oven, and you're going to bake these until the egg is cooked through. With breakfast out of the way, it's time to focus on lunch. Now I'm feeding a trio of hungry boys at all hours at our house, so hot dogs tend to be a food group around here. But that doesn't mean you just have to throw one in a bun and call it a day. Here are 2 creative ways to use that store-bought puff pastry to make the most gourmet pigs in a blanket that kids and adults alike are gonna love. Use your pizza wheel or a sharp knife and cut it into long, thin strips. And then we're gonna use this to wrap around our hot dogs. So just starting at one end, I'm gonna wrap tightly to form a spiral pattern. This also gives them kind of a cool visual appeal. Not too shabby, right? That goes onto our baking sheet, and I've also created some smaller pigs in a blanket that are fantastic for lunch boxes. Now the egg wash is super important because it gives us that nice golden brown color. And then of course, we've got our everything bagel seasoning. Not only does it add tons of flavor, but it makes them look so visually appealing too. Now it's time to pop these into the oven and get those lunch boxes ready. That pastry is golden brown and puffed. That seasoning gets a little bit toasted. These are such a fun spin on a classic, and most importantly, they fit great in lunch boxes. So I'm just gonna take the small guys here, pop them into my son's lunch box, close this guy up. Lunch is done. We've covered everything savory, so now it's time for a little something sweet. You are only 4 ingredients away from chocolate twist perfection. Now what comes out of this right here is gonna look like it's straight out of a bakery display case, but don't let looks fool you. This is also easy but impressive. Starting off with that same $7 box of frozen store-bought puff pastry, we're gonna use a little bit of chocolate hazelnut spread and spread this all around on top of our pastry, leaving a 1/2-inch border around the edges. Now all that's left to do is rolling it up. So starting at the end closest to me, I'm gonna roll upward. Now you're gonna grab your sharpest knife and you're gonna cut straight through the middle to make 2 halves. Last but not least, grab those 2 halves and twist them to form a braid. Now we're just gonna add our egg wash. Now the sanding sugar is a totally optional addition. Beautiful. Pop this into the oven and it's time for dessert. How absolutely beautiful does that look? All you're gonna do, slice it into servings, then it's time to dig in. It's amazing what you can do with a few pro tips and time-saving tricks. And this wraps up a delicious day in my life as both a chef and a mom. Thanks so much for having me, Rach.